ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाखाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So dear devotees, Hare Krishna, welcome for this 11th session of the Bhakti Shastri course to the Bhagavad Gita. So we're starting a new chapter today, and the third chapter we will be starting Karma Yoga. So many other things like like you see the connection between chapter 2 and 3 in chapter 2, 49 shloka, it says, Durena hi avaram. Krishna is telling Arjuna to keep all abominable activities far distant by Buddhi Yoga. Because Arjuna is thinking that Buddhi means intelligence. And by using his intelligence, he should avoid all abominable activities and not fight. Still, Krishna is urging him to fight. So now chapter 3 begins with Arjuna's question to clarify this contrary instruction. Because according to Arjuna, renunciation or jnana and work are incompatible. So how can somebody be renounced also and work also? Because he thinks that work is, any work is done is work in attachment. So now in chapter 3, Arjuna asks if it is better to be situated in knowledge or to work, as if these two are opposite to each other. So Krishna will speak about Nishkam Karma Yoga once again, where work combined with knowledge and detachment can be done, and offering the fruits of the work for the satisfaction of the Lord. And Nishkam Karma Yoga allows the soul to be purified through detached activities. And then Krishna will also help Arjuna to understand that how he can transit from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. Because if somebody cannot perform detached, dutiful work, it is better to follow the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. But to do it for Krishna's pleasure, then that is called Karma Yoga. All the Vedic duties which, prescribe sacrifices and all that. So then also Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga to set a correct example, beautifully acting without attachment, is setting a right example also for others who might be a little less advanced in bhakti. And then Krishna is, cautioning Arjuna of lust and anger. So this third chapter has 43 shlokas. The biggest chapter was chapter 2. Now another biggest chapter will be there in chapter 18. So the second chapter and the last chapter, where actually Krishna starts instructing Arjuna from the second chapter. So that was the biggest, and where he's now going to conclude again These are the biggest chapters. So in chapter 3, if you see that the second chapter ended where if you in the 71st shloka where uh, uh, how the kings previously behaved in a very pious way, but they were worldly kings, and they internally renounced and were peaceful in mind because they were fixed on the supreme personality of Godhead. Like if you see Maharaj Amrish or Maharaj Priyavrat, Maharaj Priyavrat is an excellent example of the person, or the king who behaved as a very pious worldly king, and he was internally also renounced and peaceful because his consciousness was fixed on the supreme personality of Godhead. So now, chapter 3 will start where Arjuna again is confused. Arjuna again will keep asking certain questions. Let's see. Okay, I have been to third chapter. Third chapter. Okay, Karma Yoga. So now Arjuna will ask again because Krishna has sufficiently told him about in the previous chapter. ज्यायसि चेत कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दना तम किम कर्माणि घोरे मां नियोजयसि केशव. Arjuna said, "Oh Janardhan, oh Keshav, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruit of work," because Arjuna is thinking intelligence is buddhi. So now Prabhupada is saying that Krishna has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter with a view to delivering his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief. See, he was actually in grief. That is why Krishna is again and again trying to remove him. And the path of realization has been recommended of Buddhi Yoga. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia. Inertia means doing no activity, just sit in one place and concentrate on the Lord. And one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name in a secluded place, where one may acquire cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from active lives and practice of penance and austerity in a secluded place. See, because previously these kings they used to go, they used to renounce everything and they used to go in the jungle and meditate. But this was at the age of 50, where they have sufficiently taken training and they have sufficiently, got that input, then they are able to give some good output. Otherwise, if the kings were not trained previously, then it would be very difficult. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga work in Krishna consciousness in the third chapter. So, next. Vyamishre श्रेणेव व्याख्येन बुद्धि मोहाय सीव मे तदेक वद निश्चयत्य येन श्रेयो अहम आपनोयाम. So Arjuna is actually requesting Krishna that You give me tad ekavachanam. You give me just one equivocal instruction. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instruction. So you give me only one instruction. Equivocal means two instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be the most beneficial for me. So, Prabhupada is saying that in the previous, chapter, many different paths were explained. Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, controlling the senses by intelligence, work without fruit of desire, that is Nishkam Karma Yoga, the position of a neophyte. So, this was presented unsystematically. Now, systematically, all organized outline of the path would be necessary for action and understanding. And therefore, Arjuna wanted to clearly clear up all these confusing matters so that any common man could accept them without misinterpretation. Though Arjuna had no intention of although Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness either by inertia or by active service. In other words, by his questions, he is clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. So, if you see over here, give me 1 minute. I'll share with you these things. Yeah. So, this third lesson, it has an acronym called TREE. So, the first acronym that is there, that is Tyaga or renunciation of work, which is better, he's asking. So, now Krishna will explain. And the second is all these rugs on the yoga ladder, that is from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. And then who were these exemplary Karma Yogis? So there will be many examples also. And then who is the biggest enemy of the soul? In the last section, because there are 4 sections to this particular chapter, in the last section, Krishna will explain that. What are the biggest enemy of the soul? So then we have which shloka's position of neophyte mentioned, Mataji? In second chapter? Those who have taken up to Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we'll go to the next. So now over here, Krishna is going to suggest that Nishkam Karma Yoga is better for Arjuna than Jnana Yoga. So if you see in the third shloka, there are 2 types of people, Jnana Yogis who renounce work and Karma Yogis who do prescribed work. So one with an impure heart should perform prescribed duties for purification of heart. This will be explained in all these 13 verses. So Krishna is actually advising that it is better to be a karma yogi to do prescribed work rather than, falsely claiming that, okay, I am a yogi and the heart is, impure. Okay. And that is why if the heart is impure, then you perform your prescribed duties for purification of the heart. This is what he's saying. But let's see the... Yeah. So then from third onwards, now Krishna will start speaking. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvivida Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Ghana Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yogina. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are 2 classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation and others by devotional service. Empirical philosophical speculation is Gyanis, and devotional service is the Bhaktis. So, in the 39th verse, where the Lord explained two kinds of procedures, that is Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. And in this verse, the Lord is explaining more clearly the Sankhya Yoga, analytical study of the nature of the spirit and matter, is the subject matter for persons who are inclined to speculate and understand things by experimental knowledge and philosophy. The other class of men in Krishna consciousness, as it is explained in the 61st verse of the second chapter, the Lord has explained also in the 39th verse that by working by the principles of Buddhi Yoga, Krishna conscious, one can be relieved from the bonds of action, and furthermore, there is no flaw in the process. The same principle is more clearly explained in the 61st verse, that is Buddhi Yoga, to depend entirely on the Supreme Lord. And in this way, all the senses can be brought under control very easily. Therefore, both the yogis are interdependent as religion and philosophy. Religion without philosophy is sentiment. भावुकता के लेवल पे नहीं करना है हमें. We have to do it on, or sometimes fanaticism. While philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So every religion should have a philosophy. Otherwise, it is sentimentalism. And every philosophy should be backed up by religion. Otherwise, it becomes a mental speculation. The ultimate goal is Krishna, because the philosophers who are also sincerely searching for the absolute truth come in the end to Krishna consciousness. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. The whole process is to understand the real position of the self in relation to the super self. The indirect process is philosophical speculation, by which gradually one may come to the point of Krishna consciousness, and the other process is directly connecting everything with Krishna in Krishna consciousness. Of these two, the path of Krishna consciousness is better because it does not depend on purifying the senses by philosophical speculation. Krishna consciousness itself is itself the purifying process, and by direct method of devotional service, it is simultaneously easy and sublime. So this particular process is very easy and very sublime also, because if you see now, where in this the first shloka Krishna is saying that people very much misuse Krishna consciousness as an excuse. They don't want to do their prescribed duties, or they're thinking that, okay, just to not do anything and just to go in some secluded place is, is actually Krishna consciousness. So many people, those who are yet to become devotees, who have not yet become devotees, they think that the Hare Krishna movement is encouraging people to take up to sannyas and not do anything, and only just renounce everything, job and wife and children and everything, and come in the temple and do some nice bhajan and kirtan as such. Like, but the correct understanding is that without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, uh, uh, immaturely renouncing is not advisable, because when you just immaturely renounce, then what happens? It is just attracting cheap adoration from the innocent public. So, for example, I'll tell you that if, uh, uh, like in our temples, okay, we have a very nice systematic program for those who want to become brahmacharis. So they have different programs that if a particular devotee wants to become a full-time brahmachari, he desires to become, then he's trained. He's sufficiently trained for 5-6 years, and then he's awarded the saffron cloth, right? So first he's actually in yellow, where he's under training, where he's getting continuously, training, where why you are doing and what you are doing. So once he has made up his mind that yes, my life is uh, mm, for uh, understanding my own self and the connection between me and Krishna, and then my life is meant to serve the others and bring others also out from the whirlpool of material existence. So then he goes further and he takes a white dress. From a white dress, again he is trained sufficiently. So when he is in yellow dress, he is working also outside, and even in white dress also he's working outside. But then when he sufficiently understands that no, I think I want to fully dedicate my life for serving the Supreme Lord by preaching, by pushing this movement ahead, that time after 6 7 years he is given the saffron cloth. And that too, there are levels of authorities there, and after sufficient monitoring, because every student is under a counselor, and that counselor is monitoring his intentions, his attitude, his service attitude, everything is being monitored, and then he is awarded the saffron cloth. So this is a whole procedure of 6 7 or 8 years. So if a person who is very sincere, the sign of a sincere student is that only that the sincere student places this doubt before the master, and he is asking the solution for the best course of action. He says that, see, I am very confused by your equivocal words, and I'm very bewildered also. You please tell me what I need to do. Then Krishna is actually explaining the whole Karma Yoga chapter to work in Krishna consciousness. And because uh, uh, apparently, Arjuna is clearing the confusing path for these students, because in chapter 2, there were many sections explained. There was Sankhya Yoga, there was even Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga also. So Krishna is clearing that particular path for the others. So now from the third chapter onwards, the third shloka onwards till the ninth shloka, again Krishna is going to explain Nishkam Karma Yoga. So when Krishna is saying that, okay, liberation or bondage is not determined by one's activities, but by one's consciousness in performing those activities. So, are you performing those activities in a detached manner? So, renunciation is not giving up of the activities, but it is the giving up of the attachment to the fruit of that activity. As I previously also explained, that if somebody is working and he has a job, okay, so whether he'll be successful in that job or not, it's not a guarantee. So if he's detachedly working that, okay, I have to work, or even a businessman, he is doing business on a daily basis, whether he will uh, whether he will get profit or not, or he'll get loss. But if he is not attached to that fruit, whether it is a profit, whether it is loss, I will sincerely go every day to my shop or to my office, and I will just work for the pleasure of the Lord. So, renunciation of this activity without necessary training and knowledge and purification will lead to a great destruction uh, on the path of spiritual advancement. So, without prescribed duties, if the desires are not fulfilled for an activity, then it will lead to some premature renunciation of, premature renunciation to a sinful action. So that is why sufficient amount of training has to be given. sufficient amount of training has to be given in this. Please give me 1 minute. Okay? There's a call coming and she'll keep on calling otherwise. So if you see this link between the shloka number 1, 2 and 3 onwards is that Krishna is actually answering Arjuna's question by pointing out what are the defects if you want to, or if you have this desire to renounce your duty. So, renounce your prescribed duty, in fact. And that is why Krishna is focusing on what is the nature of the soul, how inactivity is not an option available. And Arjuna is advised to perform activities in a way that they are directed towards self-purification and self-realization. So, self-purification and self-realization are the purposes of performing prescribed duties. So, when you perform prescribed duties, that's where there will be purification and self-realization also. So, in this third shloka, both karma and sankhya are valid and they're interdependent parts of the self-realization. Karma is also required, action is also required, and sankhya is also required. So sankhya is actually based on gyan, on knowledge. So any action without knowledge is mundane, and knowledge without action is actually powerless. You're doing a particular action, you should have a knowledge at least of why you're doing what you're doing and for whom you're doing. So the Sankhya Yoga has two processes. One is Sankhya Yoga or analytical study based on Gyan, and Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which involves activities or karma also. But the right understanding is that karma stage and the Gyan stage are the two rungs on the same yoga ladder, depending on one's nishtha. So, nishtha means actually purity of heart or that level of faith. So, what is your level of faith? So, when you say karma stage or the jnana stage, karma is the platform at which this work is recommended. And Gyan stage is the platform when one is sufficiently purified and detached to renounce that work. So in karma stage, you are working, but you're not working with a detached attitude. Detached attitude in the sense whether I'll get the fruits or not, it is not guaranteed. So if I get the fruits, fine. If I don't get the fruits, still fine. So now it is comparing the Sankhya Yoga and the Buddhi Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is philosophical speculation. Sankhya Yoga is a very systematic, or you can say analytical study of the nature of the spirit and matter. And this subject matter is for persons who are inclined to speculate and understand things by some experimental knowledge or some philosophy. But Buddhi Yoga is direct Krishna consciousness. Buddhi Yoga is directly or entirely dependent on the Supreme Lord. So when a particular person is working in Buddhi Yoga, he is relieved from the bondage of work. And both these yogas, Sankhya Yoga and Buddhi Yoga, they both are interdependent as religion and philosophy. So when you say Buddhi Yoga, it's religion, and Sankhya Yoga is philosophy. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that religion without philosophy is sentimentalism or fanatism, and philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So then what is the ultimate goal of these two yogas? The ultimate goal of these two yogas is Krishna only for both the yoga processes. And the purpose is to establish the real position of the self with the super self, the soul with it. So if I want to make a comparison between Sankhya Yoga and Buddhi Yoga, so you can say that Sankhya Yoga is an indirect path. And because it is an indirect path, there is no surety of success. But Buddhi Yoga is a direct process which is connecting all the levels of our activity to Krishna, or the purpose of our activities to Krishna. And of course, there is a surety of success there, because it is relieving us from the bonds of action. And this process is flawless. There's no flaw in this process. And in Sankhya Yoga, person is has to do his personal endeavor. He has to endeavor to make those experimental knowledge, experiments of knowledge and philosophy, because he has to do that on his own, because and still he has a limited capacity. He is dependent on his own intelligence. But over here in Buddhi Yoga or in Krishna consciousness, the whole process is dependent on Krishna's mercy. A person is not dependent on his own limited capacity, sense control or to purify and advance. No. And that is why Buddhi Yoga is easy and better than Sankhya Yoga. So, and if you see in Buddhi Yoga, as I was actually mentioning in one of the Bhagavatam classes also, that in Buddhi Yoga, the sadhya, the sadhan, and the end are the same. The sadhya is Krishna. The sadhan or the means is what? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The sadhya is also what? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And the end is also the same, only Krishna, attaining Krishna. So Buddhi Yoga in itself is means and ends are the same. So Krishna consciousness in itself is a very, very purificatory process because of the means. Why? I'll tell you. Over here also what we are doing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. In the spiritual world also, what are we supposed to do? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Same activity. What we are doing over here, we are trying to please Krishna. There also we will be trying to please Krishna. But in Sankhya Yoga, it is a gradual path of purification by purification of the senses by this philosophical process. And that is why Sankhya Yoga is generally called philosophical speculation. You are speculating. It might be like that. It might be that way. So it is based on speculation, and we know that certain speculations will never be true, right? I might speculate sitting over here in Pune that okay, maybe currently what is going on in the new parliament. That's my speculation. So for Sankhya Yoga also, there is internal purification required by prescribed duties. Because till the time you're not sufficiently purified, then and purified by what? Purification of the senses by philosophical speculation. Give me just 1 minute, okay? I beg apologies. There were 3 times this person is calling me. I said, what is so diehard for him? Let me check. So, then that is why in the next shloka only, now Krishna is going to say that if you prematurely renounce, so premature renunciation will be performed before sufficient purification at this karma stage, and it will neither bring purification nor liberation. So he's saying that do not prematurely renounce the prescribed duties, because it is not going to lead you to the purification of the heart, nor are you going to get liberation or perfection as such. So there is no benefit achieved by you by prematurely renouncing. Yeah, Parthasarthi Prabhu. Okay, I just read your message. Fine, no problem. You are a very sincere student in the class. So let's see the next. So he's saying that na karmanam anarambhanam neshkaryanam purusho asnute na cha sanyasanad eva siddhim samadhigacchati. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So, the renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified by the discharge of prescribed form of duties, which is laid down just to purify the hearts of materialistic men. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the 4th order of life, sannyas. According to the empirical philosophers, simply by adopting sannyas or retiring from fruitive activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayana. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of heart. See, why is Prabhupada again and again mentioning, or Krishna is mentioning purification of heart? Purification of heart because there are many anarthas. And if the heart is not sufficiently purified, then it will keep on backfiring even if you have taken sannyas. So, for example, if the heart is not sufficiently purified of lust, even at the stage of sannyas, that lust will keep on troubling. And then that is called premature of renunciation. So, purification of the heart is sufficiently recommended. And when you say purification of the heart, is actually the purification of the mind. Because the mind is the person who is dictating the senses. And in the 5th canto, an elaborate explanation of the mind has been given. If somebody wants, I will give you all the chapter number and the shloka numbers. Also read that whole section on the mind and how the mind is so turbulent. So that is why sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord without discharging his prescribed duties. So see, one is person is renouncing without purification of the life. One is person who is actually one is person who's, if someone takes up to the transcendental service of the Lord, even without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord. Swalpami dharmasya trayato madhabhayata. This is 2.40 shloka. Even a slightest performance of such a principle enables one to overcome great difficulties. So, even if somebody has taken up to Krishna consciousness, his heart is not pure yet. But still, Krishna gives him another chance in the next birth in the family of a Vaishnava to sufficiently purify his heart, because he is working on the platform of Buddhi Yoga. And he is working on he is working towards purifying his heart. He's endeavoring towards purifying the heart, and his intentions are very much pure. So that's how Krishna is advising Arjuna that purification of the heart is more important. And even if there is some folly on the part of this particular person, no problem. In the next birth, he can make it successful. Let's see the next. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtati akarmanakrit न कार्यते कार्यते ह्यावशः कर्म सर्व प्रकृति जय गुणो गणे. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Like, for example, currently we all are sitting and listening, okay? Or I'm talking, but you all are listening. But still, there is some small, slight movement. Yeah, your eyes are blinking, your hands are, functioning to write, or there are some even, slight movements are still there. That is why Krishna is saying that not even for a moment a particular person can refrain from acting. Means you cannot be like a statue, not doing anything. So everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities acquired from the modes of material nature. So if somebody might be in the mode of passion, somebody might be in the mode of ignorance, somebody might be in the mode of goodness, and still he has to act. He cannot sit. So the nature of the soul is to be active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. And as such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusionary energy, Maya. So, if we are engaged in working towards Krishna consciousness or bhakti, then Maya cannot attack us. Otherwise, it will keep on attacking us. It will find loopholes to attack us. And then the boat of Krishna consciousness will drown. In contact with material, the spirit soul acquires material modes, and to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in its natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. So in the Bhagavatam, 5th, त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणार्बुजं हरेर भजन उपको अथा पतेत ततो यदि यत्र वा भद्रम अभूत अमुष्य किम को वार्ता अपितो अभजताम swadharmata. So over there, Srila Shukdev Goswami is saying that if someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute a devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? So the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, sannyas or any purificatory process is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure. So somebody might ask this question, that Mataji, we are in Grihastha ashram and husband-wife relation is there. How can I give up my wife? Because I have taken a responsibility at the time of marriage that I will support her, I will take care of her till the fag end of my life. When I was taking those 7 rounds around the fire. So we have grihastha sannyasis also. Grihasthas who are not attached to each other. Grihasthas who have kept Krishna in the center. Grihasthas whose aim of life is only to please Krishna and to propagate the mission of Krishna. And you all can become Grihastha sannyasis also, which means that there is no attraction between male and female on bodily platform. There is attraction between male and female only on the soul platform, that okay, she is my counterpart and she's assisting me in my Krishna consciousness and in preaching activities also. Like for example, there are many people, you all definitely must have seen that they have house programs. So we know when you have a house program, you need a cook to cook, because sometimes programs end at late night and it is not feasible for the devotees to now then go home and then cook and then they'll sleep by 12 o'clock. So what does the lady in the house do? She is cooking while the husband is giving a class. She's cooking and she's assisting her husband in Krishna conscious activities. She's inspiring the other women also. She's engaging the other women also in Krishna conscious. Like, for example, making garlands or making some dresses or decorating the temple, or some ladies come a little before, 1 hour before the program starts, and they start helping her in cooking and all. Initially, of course, the lady started alone, and then after a few days or months, the other ladies also felt, oh, she's cooking a big feast for us every, evening or every morning in the afternoon, because some devotees have home programs in the afternoon. So then she's assisting the husband in his Krishna conscious activities. So both are detached, but both are attached to Krishna. Both want to please Krishna. And in continuing that, both are getting purified also. When you're talking about Krishna again and again, you are completely purified. So then, even in a particular ashram, you're staying in that ashram, you are purifying, you're as good as a grihastha sannyasi only. So Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any ashram, whether it be a grihastha ashram, whether it be it a brahmachari ashram, vanaprastha ashram, or sannyasam. Krishna consciousness is independent of any varna or any ashram. And that is why this purificatory process that is there is recommended. And I had Prabhupada will tell what is this how to purify. So then ahead Krishna is saying that Karmendriyani Sanyamya ya aste manasa smaranam indriyarthan vimudatma mithyachara sa uchyate. Krishna is saying that one who restrains these senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself as and is called a pretender. उसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ढोंगी. Yeah, he's actually, he is, or you can call him a bagula bhakta. Bagula bhakta yani kya? That he wears nice chakachak white dhoti kurta, nice tilak, nice kanthi, white bead bag, everything matching, white bead bag, white dhoti kurta and all, and he or she, whoever it is. So he's going to the temple. But in the temple also, his mind is dwelling on other women, or his mind is dwelling on his own wife, or his mind is dwelling on how to take advantage of these devotees to expand my business, or where can I find some customers for LIC, or where can I find an opportunity to earn money? So, he is called a pretender. So, when we come to the temple, we should not come with that. Yeah, Mithyachari. Thank you, Rupanohar Prabhu. Yeah, thank you so much. So, he is called a pretender, and we should not be pretenders. See, initial stage, we were pretenders, but as and when gradually we spend sufficient amount of time in Krishna consciousness, seeing the other devotees also, we get inspired that no, I have to be selflessly serving. I should not have any ulterior motive to visit the temple or associate with the devotees or for preaching. There are so many devotees who preach with an attitude to earn money, to fill their pockets. That we should not do. That is the most grossest type of preaching that we'll be doing, that we have counselees and we are extracting money from the counselees. We are extracting और we are उसको क्या बोलते हैं, शोषण करना उनको उनको शोषण को क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में? To just take from them and not give them anything. Yeah, exploitation. Thank you, Sucharita Mataji. Thank you. Yeah. To exploit the devotees. That we should not do. See, why am I telling all this currently? Because I am seeing you all as future preachers. I'm not seeing you as students at all at the moment. I am seeing you all as future preachers, that you all also will be giving this Bhakti Shastri course some or the other time. You all also will be having counselees. So we should be in the mood of selflessly giving them and not expecting anything from them. This is called detachment. This is what working on the platform of Buddhi Yoga. You are in the mood of giving and not in the mood of taking. If by default Krishna wants to, by his causeless mercy, Krishna wants to give you something, that's fine. That is his, you know, it is his own free will. But from our end, we should be very, very clear enough that we should be in the mood of giving people and not taking anything from them, not expecting anything from them. And why only in devotee community? Even in our own homes, with our relatives, with our friends, whoever they are, we just should selflessly learn to be. See, why do these philanthropists, they adopt a whole village? And there are so many philosophies. I adopt a whole village because uh, they derive pleasure from adopting and giving. They think I have got so much that I can actually I can adopt a whole village and I can sustain that whole village. If I have got so much of surplus money with me, why not? So they are deriving pleasure. And what is the difference between those philanthropists and our Krishna conscious philanthropists is that the Krishna conscious people, they cater to both the needs, the needs of the body also and the need of the soul also. But the philanthropists who are just catering to the bodily needs eventually land up taking another birth in some again, a good family because they've done so much of philanthropy work. So they are not catering to their own soul needs also and the soul needs of the others also. So that's why the best philanthropy work is to give Harinam to everybody, to cater to the needs of the soul and not the body only. So, not to be a pretender. So let's see what Prabhupada has to say. There are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness but make a show of meditation while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Okay. I have seen many of these people. So what happens is they come, to the temple. In the very first step of the temple, 10 times they will bow down, their head, and they'll bow down to Prabhupada also. They'll bow down to Lord Krishna, which is really good. They are developing their bhakti unmukhi sukruti, but still the mind is dwelling upon sense enjoyment only. Even while they're seeing the form of the Lord in the temple, they're thinking that, oh, so much gold jewelry Krishna is wearing. I wish I also had such gold jewelry. Oh, how wonderful Krishna is enjoying with Radharani. I wish I can also enjoy, with other women like that. So they're dwelling upon sense. So and even if you see, there are preachers also, so they may speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff the sophisticated followers. But according to this verse, they are the greatest cheaters. So if you see, we have many so-called swamis, outside ISKCON. So many swamis outside of ISKCON, they are just dry philosophers. Why? Because they don't walk their talk. Because they don't walk their talk, then they're the greatest cheaters. They're not working for Krishna. They're just making a show that we are devotees. So for sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of social order. But if one follows the rules and regulations of a particular status, he can make gradual process in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for the objects of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater. Like if you see, all in these mathas and all, they have they call, small girls, and they, do something wrong with those girls or with women also. They keep women as their secretary or assistant, and then, they're doing sense gratification with them. So that should not be done. This is what. His knowledge has no value only. Why? Because he's not pure inside and outside. And his knowledge has no value because the effects of such a sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusionary energy of the Lord. Maya ne har liya hai. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. So, we still have so many, people who, pretend that okay, आपके मन में क्या चल रहा है, we know, हम आपको ठीक कर देंगे, अर्जी लगाएंगे, ये लगाएंगे, वो लगाएंगे, and all these babas, all these people, they are not catering to the needs of the soul. They are just externally, superficially trying to solve the material problems of people. But they are not trying to give them spiritual solution. Material problem has a spiritual solution. Material problem does not have a material solution. And that is why these people will always remain pretenders, because they do not know only the pure path of Krishna consciousness. Even if they have knowledge, their intentions are wrong, because the mind is not sufficiently purified. They are taken away by Maya. So such people will never be able to give a proper solution. See, there are so many babas, iski arji lagayenge, no uski arji, you all have seen in the news, okay? I won't be mentioning the name of such people at all for XYZ reasons. But you see, all these people, they might be very good, by heart, but they are not giving the right solution to people. Somebody is affected by a ghost, somebody is affected by some, nonsense things, somebody is taken away their wife, children, daughter, and they are coming to these babas. But these babas are not telling that, hey, you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the ultimate one. I am also his part and parcel, and you are also part and parcel. So we all are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and he is the supreme energy. He has an internal energy who is very much capable enough for us to take closer to him. So the moment all these people will start, so externally they will give relief to that particular body of that person or mind of that person, which is still material. But what about the soul? The soul is not still at peace. Temporary peace they will give. But here, Srila Prabhupada is giving permanent peace. Krishna is giving us the permanent peace formula for everybody. That we need to see. So, let's go to the next. 3.7. Yastav indriyani manasa niyamarambhate arjuna karmendriya karma yogama asakta savishishyate. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So see, aren't we all trying to control our active senses by the mind? And aren't we all, acting without attachment? So when you're chanting, do you have some attachment that, okay, I'm chanting, I will get so and so money, I will get this, I'll get that? No, you are in a very detached manner. At least for those 2 hours, you are detached, right? Without any attachment to any other thing form. So still, you are superior than the others. But instead of becoming a pseudo-translator for the sake of wanton living and sense enjoyment, it is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life, which is to get free from the material bondage and enter into the kingdom of God. The prime Swartha Gati or goal of self-interest is to reach Vishnu. The whole institution of Varna and Ashram is designed to help us reach this goal of life. A householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. For self-realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastras and continue carrying out his business without attachment. In that way, make progress. See, Prabhupada is telling about Varna Ashram, okay, over here. So when you have a Varna and when you have an Ashram, Varna means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. And ashram is brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha and sannyas ashram. Okay, so when we are living according to our own varna and ashram, okay, and we are doing our prescribed duties, okay, so if a brahmana is properly studying the shastras and explaining the same to the others, and he's performing his duties properly, selflessly he's performing. He has a wife, he has children nicely, he's teaching the children also to be selfless. So it's not like that the Brahmana is lalchi or he's greedy. No. Brahmana is, if it is coming on its own accord, fine. If it does not come, still fine. Best example of Brahmana is Sudama. So he was a Brahmana and his work was to worship the Supreme Lord and think about. And still the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, gave so much of opulence to Sudama. But still Sudama was detached. Sudama, for his wife and children's sake, he was staying in that particular palace. Imagine, Krishna gave Sudama the opulence as equal to Indra. But still Sudama was sleeping on the floor only. He was saying that I have come from rugs and I will turn into, I will go back also again there. So I should not forget my, position. And Sudama was in a detached manner, still he was sleeping on the floor. So a householder is living in a very controlled manner. Or if you see the Vaishyas also, they are, they are supposed to protect the cows. They are supposed to do agriculture and business. And if a Vaishya is pretty much satisfied, okay, I have got one land, one cow, and a house, I'm satisfied. And still he's doing his prescribed duty. A Vaishya is supposed to do business. A Vaishya is supposed to protect the cows. He's doing his regulative business. And still he is happy. So that is why that is called actually prescribed duty. That way. Give me 1 minute, okay? Yeah, I'm back. So any sincere person, Srila Prabhupada is saying over here, a sincere person who follows his method is far better situated than the false pretender who would have show bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. There's a very nice statement by Prabhupada saying, a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So we should not be pretenders. This is what Prabhupada is saying. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jyayo karmana sharira ya trapi cha tena na prasadhyeta akarmana. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. There are so many pseudo-meditators who misrepresent themselves as belonging to high parentage, great professional men who falsely pose that they have sacrificed everything for the sake of advancement in spiritual life. Lord Krishna did not want Arjuna to become a pretender. Rather, the Lord desired that Arjuna perform his prescribed duty as set forth for Kshatriyas. Arjuna was a householder and a military general, and therefore it was better for him to remain as such and perform his religious duties as prescribed for the householder, Kshatriya. Now for Arjuna, he's in a Varna and he's in an ashram also. So for him, the best course of action is what? Do his prescribed duty as a Kshatriya. Such activities gradually cleanse the heart of a mundane man and free him from material contamination. So-called renunciation for the purpose of maintenance never approved by the Lord, nor by any religious scripture. After all, one has to maintain one's body and soul together by some work. Work should not be given up capriciously, capriciously, without purification of material propensities. Anyone who is in the material world is certainly possessed of the impure propensity for lording it over the material nature, or in other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities have to be cleared. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so-called transcendental, renouncing work and living in the cost of others. Okay, let me tell you one of my own example, okay? When I had done Bhakti Shastri and when I had read all these things, okay, and of course, at that point of time, when you are in the initial stage, you don't really understand much of it. But since I was doing Bhakti Shastri in Vrindavan, so I was thinking at that point of time, bus, this is Vrindavan. Because I stayed over there for 5 months and I got pretty attached to the deities over there and to the land over there and to the whole process over there where everybody is doing Harinam, Kirtan and all. And I was on a break with my job. So for 5 months. Then again, I thought, no, I don't want to work at all. I just want to renounce everything and I want to just, dedicate my life over here in Vrindavan. I want to stay in Vrindavan. So it was, I think, the last day of my Bhakti Shastri, and I was deciding that only. And while I was deciding and coming from the Goshala towards the temple, towards Prabhupada, Prabhupada's room over there. So from the front, my spiritual master was coming, and then he asked me that, so Bhakti Shastri is over now. What? I said, Maharaj, I want to stay over here only. So he chastised me. He said, no, you have to become professional. Go to Delhi and join your job immediately. So uh, he didn't say that go to Delhi and join your job immediately. He meant it that way. He just said that no, you have to be professional. You just cannot stay like this over here. And I was thinking what to do. Then I said 1 or 2 days more, I will stay here and then I will go. So I was not denying the orders of the spiritual master, but I was just postponing it a little bit because still that attachment of the land is there, the dham is there. Then the second day again he sees me. You still here? You still haven't gone? Then I said, no, I think I should go because the third day if he meets me anywhere, then it will be definitely a big that he will think that I'm not, obedient to him. So then the same day I left for Delhi and joined my job from the next day itself. So I wanted to artificially renounce. But because we have our spiritual masters and they can scan our mind very nicely, very perfectly. So I was saved from artificially. I would be one of these people only. I would be also pretender only because artificially I'm trying to renounce. Artificially I'm trying to immaturely I'm trying to renounce. And that would be artificially only. So currently also I've taken that thing very seriously to my heart. Though financially I'm pretty much sound, still I'm working for 2-3 hours in a day. I work for at least currently I'm working 2 hours, but now once the schools will reopen, then 3 hours. So a day. And I take home tuitions at home only. So still that is enough for me to keep my knowledge fresh as such. So this is this is what is my personal experience that if you and I've seen many people also. They renounce and then they feel bad. अरे मैंने क्यों छोड़ा मेरा job? क्यों मैंने त्याग दिया? And then their children, their wife, they all are crying. Then in your old age, settling in the dham, when you have finished with all your prescribed duties and the children are also settled and everything, you can, and you don't have to renounce. You just have to see. When we say renunciation now, Krishna will tell in the 18th chapter, renunciation is renunciation of sense gratification, the tendency for sense enjoyment. That has to be renounced. Then you can stay anywhere. If you are, even you don't need a dham also. Like His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Swami Maharaj. He was battling with cancer from so many years and he had a choice that he would leave his body in the dham. But he said, no, I will leave it amongst the devotees over here because all his disciples, of course, all that whole disciple would not be able to come to Vrindavan. It would be very expensive for everybody. So he gave up his body in his own country. He did not say that, no, I will, give it in the dham so that I can go back home, back to Godhead. No, so he was pretty much renounced. So wherever you are, that place, if you're thinking about the Lord, you're glorifying the Lord, that place is no less than a dham or Vrindavan or Mayapur or Dwarka or Jagannath Puri. So even if I'm in Bombay, I'm in Indore, I'm in Hyderabad, I'm in Dubai, I'm in, down south, anywhere I'm in Odisha, wherever I am, if I'm chanting the holy names of the Lord, that place becomes as equal as the dham. Why? Because in the dham also, what are the Vrajavasis doing? In the Dham, the Vrajavasis are 24/7 thinking about Krishna's pleasure. So, Vrindavan or the Dham is a state of consciousness. Wherever you are thinking about Krishna, you are in the Dham itself only. So that we need to do, because we do not know our situations anywhere, whether we are in Dubai, we are in Indore, we are in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, or in Delhi, wherever we are. Staying in that ashram, we want to, because see, the ashram is a shelter. If we are staying in that ashram is a shelter for us to advance in Krishna consciousness. So that's very important for us. Okay. So another question, Mataji, renunciation is not recommended until one reaches the highest perfection of purification, heart complete detachment from everything. Yeah, immaturely we should not renounce. Now let's see. This is the last section of this is the last shloka of this section. Sorry. Yagnarthat karma no anyatra loko ayam karma bandhanam tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. Since one has to work for the simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties for a particular position and quality are so made that the purpose can be fulfilled. Yagna means Lord Vishnu, or sacrificial performances. All sacrificial performances also are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. The Vedas enjoin Yagno Vai Vishnu. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yagnas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. So, Krishna consciousness is therefore a performance of yagna as it is prescribed in this verse. So, everything, whatever activities we are doing in our life, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasim, this all is yagya. And these yagyas are for the satisfaction of the Lord. Like, for example, I'm chanting. So when I'm chanting, the words come out from my mouth and they are entering the ear holes of my body. So that ear becomes a sacrificial arena. Kahan pe ahuti dalenge? In the ear holes. And then what is the outcome? My heart. Then it is entering from ear to my heart. Then it is what? It is purifying my heart. And of course, why do we do yagyas? To purify, right? So there is one external yagya also, but there is one internal yagya also, purifying the heart. So Krishna consciousness therefore performs the yagya as it is prescribed in the Varnashram Institute also aims at satisfying Lord Vishnu. See, the aim of Varnashram system or institution is to satisfy Lord Vishnu. Any Varna, any ashram, they are aiming to satisfy Lord Vishnu because he is the person ultimate to be satisfied. And therefore, no one has to work for this. Therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done in the material world will be a cause of bondage. For both good and evil work have their actions, and any action binds the performer. See, you do good work, you will go to the heaven. But still, even if you reach to the heaven, you have to still come back to this work, to this earth planet. Shine Punya Martya Lokam. Again, you come to this. Okay. And if you do bad, of course, again, you have to suffer and you have to come back again here only. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu. While performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. So see, when I am working for the satisfaction of Vishnu, so then what is happening is I am not working for my own sense enjoyment. I am working for the senses of the master of the senses, who's Rishikesh. This is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this process requires expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself, under whom Arjuna had the opportunity to work. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, satisfying your own senses, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. So, we are not satisfying our senses, we are satisfying the senses of Krishna, because he is the master of our own senses. And in satisfying his senses, our senses will automatically be satisfied. It's not like that, okay, Krishna's senses are satisfied. He say, ha ha ha, I am done. My senses are satisfied. Hell with you. No. Krishna is a reciprocal God. He's definitely going to reciprocate with us. And when we satisfy his senses, our senses also will gradually get satisfied. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but also gradually elevate to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God. So, slowly, when we learn to work for the Supreme Lord, to work for His pleasure, to work for His satisfaction, then we will start loving Him. So, I'll give you one example, okay? You will understand with this example. In an arranged marriage, previously, the boy and the girl never knew each other. Okay. The boy had never seen the face also of the girl, or the girl has also not seen the face of the boy. But eventually, when they get married, and when the girl starts serving the husband, okay, so then their love develops. So, slowly and steadily, when a jiva starts serving the Supreme Lord, okay, he will learn to elevate himself to the transcendental loving service of the Lord slowly and steadily. The more she's serving the husband, the more the husband is reciprocating with her loving service. The more the husband is acknowledging her services, and he's giving her smiling glances coming and going, or he's trying to tease her coming in, because previously people used to live in a joint family. So personal interactions were very less, or talking to each other also was very less. But they used to love each other through their glances and through their smiles. So similarly, when a particular person tries to serve the Supreme Lord, see, initially, it is very difficult that, why should I serve him? Because there is so much of strong conditioning from so many lifetimes, that I have all these lifetimes I've tried to serve my own senses, and I've tried to have my own sense enjoyment. Then to serve the Supreme Lord initially is a little difficult. But since we have got this knowledge, and slowly and steadily, when we start working for the pleasure of the Lord is going to reciprocate us with different glances, with different smiles. And we do not know how these glances of Krishna are going to manifest, or his smiles are going to manifest into our lives. But the Lord is definitely going to reciprocate with us. And when we are working in that attitude of pleasing the Supreme Lord, then it will take us to his eternal abode. And again, over there also, what are we doing? We are serving him over there also. There also we are under a guru, and we will be serving him under that particular Sakhi Manjari or something like that. So this is what Krishna is trying to say. So, okay, there's some question. I think Yasmin Tushta Jagat Tushta. Yes. Thank you, Sucharita Mataji. So now from these sections, like, where Krishna is saying from the third shloka, fourth shloka. Renunciation of any activity is not a means of purification. It is only the result of purification. So, artificially somebody is renouncing, he will not be purified. Okay, but genuinely if somebody is doing it for the pleasure of Krishna in a detached manner, then it is going to purify him. So, when does one accept this renounced order of life? In the fourth shloka, we have seen that only when one is purified by discharging of the prescribed form of duties. And what is the purpose of these prescribed duties? The purpose of the prescribed duties is to purify the hearts of materialistic men. And Prabhupada is giving a very practical application where he is comparing this renunciation of activity to the power of Buddhi Yoga, where he is saying that Neha Bikramanastuti Pratavayana Vidyate Swalpa Vidya Dharmasya Trayato Mahato Bhayata. He is saying that even a small endeavor in this service of the Lord, even if you are not performing it without the discharge of prescribed duty, whatever he may be able to perform is directly purifying and saving him from the greatest difficulties. So, in the fifth shloka, where we are seeing that Sankhya Yoga is not practical, it is impractical. Why? Because the soul is always active, and Sankhya Yoga is telling us to become inactive. So, everyone has to work. Nobody can live without working. So, if somebody is trying to prematurely renounce, then it is harmful for him. Why it is harmful for him? Because the soul is always active. Either it has to be engaged in the service of Krishna or in the service of Maya, where it may actually acquire the three modes of material nature and be influenced by the three modes of nature. So, the fifth shloka is setting this criteria that why or when should one take sannyas. So a particular person can take sannyas depending on the kind of mode, one of the modes which one is affected by. So if somebody, I am in the mode of passion and ignorance, then I cannot actually take up to sannyas. Or one has to be sufficiently purify himself from the modes of material nature, and he has to rise above the mode to that particular situation where he comes on the Shuddha Sattva level. So you have Tamogun, you have Rajogun, and you have Satogun also. But above Satogun is also Shuddha Sattva level. So you have to rise, above that. And once you rise above that, it is bringing us to the level of knowledge between the knowledge of the difference between the body and the soul. And then when sufficiently purified, then one can take sannyas. Okay, so the ultimate goal of sannyas or any purificatory process is to reach the point of becoming Krishna conscious. So after taking sufficiently training and getting purified, then a particular person can take sannyas. But even if you see, what are the sannyasis doing right now? All the gurus over, ISKCON, they're not sitting in one place and meditating, or they're not inactive. Every 3 to 4 days or 5 days, they are moving in different parts of the world, in different countries and different places and different districts and different villages. So they are also not inactive. We feel that, okay, when I leave this place, I will be in Shanti. But immaturely leaving that place and getting Shanti is not going to, because we are not sufficiently purified. So Krishna consciousness turns this yoga ladder into an elevator. So the ladder means what? CD. Dheere, you're climbing. But if you have an elevator, within no time, what do? You immediately reach to your destination. So therefore, contact with Krishna through the contact of a pure devotee at any step of a yoga ladder will actually speed up the process of purification. So whether you are at a Gyan yoga stage or whether you're in Ashtanga yoga stage, and if you come in contact with a pure devotee, from any ladder that you're, whether you're in a Karma yoga stage or a Gyan yoga or an Ashtanga yogi or Dhyan yogi, you can immediately reach to the highest top level of the ladder, which is Bhakti yoga. So, uh, so you know, uh, the, so in the sixth shloka, the definition of a pretender, or as His Grace Rupa Manohar Prabhu saying, mithyachari. So he restrains the senses of action, but mind dwells on sense objects. So, uh, uh, what are some of the characteristics of these mithyacharis is they're like a show bottle spiritualist. They just want to do some yogic meditation which has no value, and whatever they are doing, a show of their meditation, that also has no value because their mind is still impure. Their mind is still dwelling upon sense enjoyment. His knowledge also has no value because his knowledge, whatever knowledge he has, he's not applying it. And his knowledge has no value because the effects of such sinful man's knowledge are taken away by Maya or the illusionary energy of the Lord. So these people are the greatest cheaters, and they will try to speak dry philosophy to bluff the followers, and they cheat people. So what should they understand, these pretenders? They should understand that for sense enjoyment one can act in any capacity of the social order. But if one is following the rules and regulations of a particular status, that is brahmachari, grihastha, or brahmana, kshatriya, he can make gradual process, and he can also purify his existence. So that is why in the seventh shloka, Krishna is comparing an attached sannyasi towards a detached householder. So if a particular, and Krishna is appreciating a sincere and dutiful householder. He's saying that this sincere and dutiful householder is better than an attached mithyachari sannyasi. So one should sincerely try to control his senses by the mind and then begin karma yoga without attachment. So to take a quick renunciation before one is qualified, maybe an attempt to acquire some subtle sense gratification through profit or adoration and some distinction, but Krishna is mockingly saying that the pseudo renunciation with the honest attempt at purification through the regulations of karma yoga. And so we should act according to our level or position and never try to imitate some higher levels without purification. And if you are under the guidance of a guru and sadhu and shastra, it is more better. So when you say this, there was this word called swartha gati, or goal of interest. So what is this prime goal of interest for every human being? It is to reach Vishnu, to be free from this material bondage, and to enter into the kingdom of God. So that is why the whole Varnashram Institute has been designed only in such a way that everybody reaches to this goal of self-interest. And even a sincere householder can reach to this destination by regularly serving the Supreme Lord. And that is why when we say now that, okay, he's a very sincere devotee, sincerity means only this, that you have a life of controlled, you live a life of, sorry, sincerity means only that you live a controlled life which is based on Shastras. And you carry out your business without any attachment. Whether I get profit, I don't get profit. So whether I have students, I don't have students, whether I have 2 students or 5 students, really does not matter. As far as I'm keeping on doing my work without any attachment. Some people think that I will teach, if there are 60, 70 students on the forum, or there are some teachers who say that I want students at least more than 30 and then only I'll start teaching. So it should be without attachment. And that is why Krishna is saying that sweeper is much better than a show bottle spiritual person who is just cheating the innocent public. And then Krishna is recommending Arjuna that you do your prescribed duty. You are a Kshatriya, you fight. And, fighting or work and not renunciation. Then he's saying that you fight because one cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So even if a particular person is a sannyasi, he is also supposed to work. A sannyasi's job or work is to go and inspire people to take up to Krishna consciousness. So he has to work, he has to make some movements, he has to maintain his family. Sorry, he has to maintain his body also. So prescribed duties are too important, to be, just capriciously abandoned, because the value in purifying the heart and also is maintaining the balanced society. And even one's physical health is also being maintained. Otherwise, people prematurely announce they don't do any activity. The body needs some actions. Otherwise, sitting in one place, you become a big potato. So 2 examples of pretenders are there. So there are many pseudo meditators who misinterpret themselves as belonging to a very higher parentage. Oh, I am from a Brahmana family. I am from a Kshatriya family. And that's why I am fit enough to preach. I am fit enough. Krishna does not say that. So great philosophical men also who are falsely posing that they have sacrificed everything for this sake of advancement in spiritual life, they all are pretenders. So prescribed duties are meant to purify the heart. And what is the heart's contamination or the polluted propensities? The heart's contamination that it has a desire to lord it over the material nature, which is manifesting as the desire for sense gratification. That I want to enjoy this, I want to lord it over here. I want to, because, to be happy is my, Janma Siddha Adhikar. So he wants to lord it over the material nature. And that is why it is manifesting as sense gratification. And renunciation for the purpose of maintenance of body and soul is condemned completely. Without purification, by prescribed duties, one should never attempt to be a so-called transcendentalist. So Arjuna wanted to avoid work out of fear because he was fearing that, I'll be killing my gurus and my, grandfathers and my brothers and all my family members. And Arjuna wanted to avoid that work out of fear, but that will only develop a material attachment and desire. And especially he was fearing the reaction also that is following his work. So the Lord in this last shloka of 9th, the third chapter, 9th shloka is saying that to differentiate from ordinary entangling of work from karma, which actually carries one to liberation. So that is why he's saying that you do work as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Work done as a sacrifice, or sacrifice means yajna for the satisfaction of Vishnu, is a means for his liberation from all material bondages. And that is why yajna, the definition of yajna means only to satisfy Vishnu. The purpose of that sacrifice is to please Vishnu. And the whole Varnashram system is only based on this only. That they are moving towards satisfaction of Vishnu. So let's see it that way. I am in a brahmachari ashram before marriage. Okay. Then I'm thinking in the brahmachari ashram also I'm working towards satisfaction of Vishnu. Then I get married. I have a wife. I have children, and still staying in the grihastha ashram also. What I'm doing, I am doing everything for the satisfaction of Vishnu. And then I reached Vanaprastha ashram. So in Vanaprastha ashram also, I am satisfying the Supreme Lord. Because everywhere when I keep Krishna in the center, so that is actually, again, I'm performing yajna only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. And then I reach sannyas. So in sannyas age, I become very mature enough to be really detached with sense gratification. I don't need sense gratification because I have sufficiently practiced myself to that stage that none of these material things will allure me, or my mind will not actually be controlled at all. The intelligence will be controlling my mind. My senses will not trouble my mind anymore. So I've reached to that particular stage. So actually working in Krishna consciousness is actually an art of doing work where you need an expert guidance under the guidance of the spiritual master. So how to perform work in Krishna consciousness? We have to have the expert guidance of the Guru, and not at all for any sense gratification, but all for Krishna's satisfaction. Not for my sense gratification, but everything for Krishna's satisfaction. And that is why when you act, in such a way for Krishna consciousness, and your actions are in Krishna consciousness, then the benefits are that you get freedom from reaction, and you will be while performing these prescribed duties also, you will be in a liberated state, and you will gradually elevate yourself for the loving service of the Lord and get entrance into the kingdom of God. So that is why, if you see this ninth shloka is elevating the Nishkam Karma Yogi to the level of Bhakti Yogi by including this knowledge of Vishnu. That everything for the pleasure of Vishnu. So I will give you this yoga ladder chart. It is a very nice thing that you'll slowly know that how from Karma Kanda to the Sakam Karma Yogi, to the Nishkam Karma Yogi, to Gyan Yoga, to Ashtang Yoga, and to Bhakti Yoga. Easily a person can very gradually go ahead and even to go to the level of Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. I have all these gradual ladders also, and there is a chart on the express elevator also that I have. Somewhere I have it. I'll just pass it down. So next section onwards, Krishna will tell that how this material world is designed to encourage sacrifice and how to make material advancement upon this yajna. So he's taking us from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga, and how to do work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Very important section, the next section is. And Krishna will explain also, the Karma Kanda system and the process of material creation. What are the benefits of yajnas? He will say that how our desire can be fulfilled in the material world by demigod worship. And then again, he will condemn also demigod worships and who are the demigods, what are their functions, what is the benefit of these yajnas, and the purpose of all these material supplies that are there, which is there, and all these different yajnas also that are there, and which is the best yajna. Srila Prabhupada in every subsequent purport will be telling us that what is the best yajna for this age, what is the best yajna for this age. So the next section is a very, very interesting and a wonderful section. So I halt my speech over here. Okay. Anybody has any questions, queries, doubts? Indrani Mataji has already raised her hand. So Mataji, please ask your question. You'll have to unmute yourself and ask.
Yes. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Mataji, just wanted to share what I heard in today morning's Japa talk from Guru Maharaj. Yeah, he was talking about the shloka Vishikena Vishikesha. So instead of using the senses for self gratification, we should use it for the service of the Lord because he is the proprietor of the senses and the body.
Yes, absolutely. Maharaj is currently in Vrindavan, I suppose, right?
No, he is in Hyderabad.
Oh, he's in Hyderabad. Oh, Lakshminarayan Prabhu must be knowing that he's in Hyderabad. Oh no, you all are a little away from.
He's always Loknath Maharaj.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, since the last 2 days he's here, Maharaj.
Ah, okay, okay. Nice. You all can have association of a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Any more questions or queries or comments? You all can comment also. You all can have your own realizations also if you all have. And you all can comment on that also. Maybe even I can learn something from you all. Okay, if nobody has any questions, queries, we'll wind up for the day. We meet next Saturday. And I think next Saturday, we'll have a wonderful speaker called His Grace Radha Pramod Prabhu. So I have invited him for this chapter. And let's see, he has given me an this that either it will be His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu or Radha Pramod Prabhu. I'll just have to speak to them that are they available. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.